This program is sponsored in part by the Oklahoma Energy Resources Board. The OERB is voluntarily funded by Oklahoma's oil and natural gas producers and royalty owners, and their funds are being used for well site restoration and student education all across the state. Since 1993, the OERB has restored more than 13,000 orphaned and abandoned well sites at no cost to landowners or taxpayers, employing Oklahoma contractors all along the way. The OERB is proud to serve the state of Oklahoma.
Daddy, where did those come from?
Well, let me tell you.
Great Plains Kubota, your Oklahoma Kubota dealer and proud sponsor of the Land Doctors. Kubota, for Earth, for life. This program is sponsored and produced by the Land Doctors Management Group. We all know that Oklahomans belong to the land, but even the best of us need a little help from time to time. If you've got a spot of land that you love but would like to make it even better, we're here to help. Whether it's wildlife, water management, natural resources management, environmental cleanup, or even real estate development, these doctors are always on call.
I love the smell of fresh dirt in the morning. It smells like victory. I need the Oklahoma wind to run open through my veins. I need the Indian grass to cut right through these long and lonesome days homeward bound. I'm homeward bound. I hear a scissor tail calling me from the redbud trees. I hear the topwater roar in the still of the day as the bass enjoy their feast homeward bound. I'm homeward bound. Whoa, I recognize that front porch light from a mile away. Whoa, this is a place that for all my life I have longed to stay, where I want to stay.
Hi, I'm Kelly Hurt,
And I'm Chip Keating.
and on today's episode of The Land Doctors,
We'd like to welcome you to the Lost Bridge Ranch. 4 years ago, we had a smaller place over in Osage County west of us on the Arkansas River. Mom and Dad have just always loved this part of the state and more importantly loved the Arkansas River. And Dad has always loved that since he was a boy. And when we realized our place in Osage County was smaller than what we ultimately wanted to have, we started looking. And with your help and time and effort, I guess it took us about a year, and we stumbled onto a real woolly place in Pawnee County, just east of Blackburn.
was it ever woolly? Do you
Was it
remember
ever
how
woolly?
tall the grass, the Johnson grass was? When we came?
You couldn't even hardly pull a four-wheeler in here.
You
And,
couldn't see the property for the Johnson grass.
You know,
and
had
the
it not, Kelly, had it not been for modern technology and having topography graphs and aerials, I don't think we would have saw a vision here, because you certainly couldn't see it driving around the property.
I remember when we came down here, I had no idea why we were coming down in this hollow. And you
Nor
get,
did I.
Yeah, and you get down here and it's just rocks and just big drop-offs, and then there's this really great bridge down here,
It is
historic
really-
bridge.
It's very special. I think it's probably the neatest part of the whole property.
Yeah, I love it.
And down here, you really don't feel like you're in Oklahoma. I mean, at least you don't feel like you're in Pawnee County. This might look more similar to, the Ozarks and
Yeah.
maybe in northeast Oklahoma, but we're in Pawnee County, and it's really special. A lot of really old rocks and just a really neat spot.
Well, you found the old house place on here too with the moonshine still and all that stuff.
Yeah, so this place is crawling with history, if land could talk.
if the rocks could tell the
story.
stories.
Absolutely, because there is an old abandoned whiskey still on the property that there's no telling, how old it is. I've got to think it's from the 20s, and I guess some old moonshiners.
Have we found any of the whiskey yet?
We haven't. I've been looking for that. I figured it'd be for some of the finest whiskey in America.
Some high grade stuff.
It certainly would. As you'll see today, the place is really spectacular. It's got a lot of neat terrain, a lot of topo. It's a special piece of property. It's just got a lot of character.
Yeah. Well, let's go look at some more of it then.
Sounds good. Well, Kelly, this pasture here was, it's probably 10 acres, and when we originally bought the property, it was full of cedar, full of Sericea lespidosa, and a lot of the property was, and we immediately wanted to get to the bottom of it and get control of it. And so we came in and spent a lot of time taking cedars out, burning cedars. We worked the ground, sprayed the ground for about 18 months, and then finally this is our first year of a winter rye stand. We'll do this as kind of a starter stand this year, and then hopefully next fall this will all be in alfalfa. So you can see a major transformation. 4 years ago, this field was as tall as you remember, as tall as our heads, and Johnson grass and Sericea, and just invasive plant species that does no good and benefit to wildlife. So we've really made some headway on this pasture, and really pleased with the outcome.
When it came time to burn the cedars, what kind of conditions were you looking for?
Well, obviously, we like to cut cedars in the fall right before deer season. We try to leave the property alone from November to January. So we'd cut the cedars July, August, let them air out, get really dry, because that's the best time to burn. When you can burn, hopefully conditions cooperate. So we would typically cut them in August, pile them, and we'd have stacks of this field. A great example, we probably had 4 or 5, massive piles, 30 foot tall, and then we look for the right conditions to burn them.
I guess you were always checking to make sure there wasn't a burn ban.
Absolutely, and we've got a great local fire department, and there's burn associations up here. So, for me, as I learned what quality land management's all about, fire is a really important component of it, and you really need to be in tune with the fire associations and Mesonet, and understanding the right conditions, when to burn, because if you don't, it can get out of hand in a hurry.
Yeah, those windy, low humidity days are just,
absolutely,
they're a recipe for disaster.
Absolutely. Our fire breaks, we have to watch our back burning, and the right conditions are 100% essential to effectively manage and burn.
So what you're telling me is you just didn't come out here and throw a match out and go to town?
No, I wish it were that easy. And we've owned the property 4 years. This property really needs probably 5 consecutive years of burning. The way we originally acquired the property, one of the larger parcels that we acquired hadn't been burned in probably 20 years, and it really needs 3 to 5 years of routine burning.
The thing I've noticed with burning is it not only removes a lot of the weeds and the overgrowth, and it opens it up for the wildlife, but especially when you're burning in early spring, it makes a lot of your grasses and succulents come out sooner.
Sure.
Because after you burn, the soil's black, from the ash on top of it. That seems like it absorbs more sunlight, gets the soil temperature up a little earlier than places that haven't been burned, and it tends to get that first flush of growth sooner, and which that brings in the wildlife.
Absolutely.
Because it's the buffet is now open, Well, we were walking and looking at all the deer tracks. It looks like the wildlife's responding fairly well to what you're doing.
I'll tell you, I wish I had hard numbers, but over 4 years, nearly 4 years owning the property, I've seen what we started with.
Yeah.
We do deer camera surveys and see what our trail cameras show. They're essential to any good, effective management program. And I can tell you, our deer count, I gotta think, is, I wish I had hard numbers, but it's up at least 20% on the property.
What about turkeys?
Turkeys, even more so. They respond to burning like nothing I've seen. I bet our turkeys are up 50, 60% in numbers.
Wow.
We had, of the 2 years we burned, I spent a lot of time up here after the burn, and the turkeys on here would blow your mind away. We had hundreds of turkeys, hundreds. And wish we were out here the day we saw them, because it's hard to believe, but they really respond well to burning. So for all those avid turkey hunters, burning's a really, really good land management tool.
Something as simple as burning can make that big a difference. And that's a great thing as long as it can be done safely.
Safely, absolutely. It's a very dangerous thing if it's not done properly. I mean, and people I really encourage, because I'm new to this and I really do have a love for the outdoors and land, and even more such watching the benefits and the results take shape. But I knew nothing about burning when I started. But you know, these volunteer fire departments are fabulous. And you know, with small donations and helping, you know, for their survivability and these departments, that, you know, they really will get behind landowners, and because it's good for them to do too.
I think doing that and having a prescribed burn plan in place, you know, that limits your liability if something does happen. As long
Sure.
as you're following your plan,
Absolutely.
you know, you were making your very best effort.
Pawnee County, where this property is located, is not a pheasant county.
Right.
Cannot shoot pheasant in Pawnee County. I have seen 3 roosters here,
Oh.
which has been pretty special, because I thought we were too far south, which was really neat to see. And then certainly our quail population has really responded well. We're on the south side of the property, going into the river bottom, not as great for quail, but when we'll see the north side of the property, it's more upland grasses, a lot of native grasses, not as much dense hardwood that is more conducive for quail habitat and survivability. But our quail numbers, and we don't, just because we're sensitive to the fact of the quail population, we don't quail hunt up here, because I wanted to see the numbers get better. But absolutely, the burning has really helped the quail, and I'm not sure what the burn does. It does something to kill the invasive grasses, and the native grasses respond better after a burn. It's really helped our quail population. I've seen, the first year I don't think I saw any quail, and I would say last spring I think we saw 4 or 5 cubbies, and I mean good cubbies of 10 or 12 birds. So that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just as we got finished at Lost Bridge Ranch, it really started getting cold. It started snowing. And now if you look at the pond behind me, you can see the ducks are really coming in. Some of them are standing on the ice. Some of them are trying to get to that one last little open hole in the water. But it's not a great day to be working, but that's okay. We've got some things that we did earlier in the fall that's sort of a nice transition from what the Keatings are doing. They're using fire to restore their property. And in the next segment, you'll see I use some techniques to protect my property against a potential wildfire. So let's go back a little bit in time to when it was a little warmer and nicer, and do a little yard work and try to get Firewise. One of the key principles of Firewise is that you need to create a buffer around your home that has very little fuel in it that can burn. Now, when I say fuel, what I'm referring to in this case are things like leaves, tall grass, any kind of paper products, firewood, or anything like that that can actually catch fire and burn. These are simple little steps that you can take. They basically involve raking leaves, trimming up your trees, removing vines, mowing one last time in the fall, and all those little things add up to really protect your home in the case of a wildfire. In Oklahoma, the fire season can occur anytime, but typically we're talking about in the winter, once everything's gone dormant, through early spring. Those are the times when we have some of our drier periods, but we also have high wind speed. The combination of dry weather and high wind can really make it a lot easier for fires to start and then spread. And so it's a good time to be outside working, and it's a good time to take steps to protect your home. And today the first step is to simply rake the leaves. Now if you notice, I've removed a fairly large pile of leaves here already in a matter of seconds, and I've gotten them away from the edge of the house. That's a fairly decent sized pile. If I set these leaves on fire, it would make a flame about this tall. So imagine if a wildfire were to approach the house, then we would have a flame that would easily set our porch on fire. Now once you've gotten your leaves gathered up, you simply just want to take them. In this case, I'm just putting them in the bucket of the tractor. And I'll either take them off into the wooded area and dump them. I might put them on one of my beds that I'm working on. Or if I find a good spot and conditions are right, I might just burn them. So whatever I'm doing with them, I'm trying to permanently remove them from the area so they don't just blow right back up against the house. Another important concept in Firewise is the concept of ladder fuels. Ladder fuels are those flammable materials that allow a fire that's on the ground, say in the grass, to climb up and into your home or up and into a tree. So what we try to do is, if you imagine a ladder that has rungs, we try to remove those intermediary steps that would allow the flame to actually spread upward. And in this case, we're going to remove the vines. And I'm just going to do that with a pair of trimmers. I'll go down, I'll clip the vine at a lower level, and then I'll just simply pull it off of the screen. So now I'm just going to gently pull on these because this is a screen. I can pull my screen out of the frame. But basically it's that easy. Have you ever wondered how trees catch on fire? The bark on a tree is not fireproof, but it does not burn all of that readily. The way that most trees actually catch on fire is through the process of ladder fuels, which we discussed earlier. And this is a good example of a ladder fuel. In this case, we've got both grass and pine needles that are on the ground. And we've also got very low limbs that are in direct contact with the grass and the pine needles. So if you imagine a fire burning along on the ground in this open pasture, when it approaches this tree, then it's relatively easy for there to be enough heat to build up beneath these limbs to actually catch the tree on fire. So the limbs catch on fire and then it starts climbing up into the top of the tree. Now at that point, once it's in the top of the tree, it's what we refer to as a crown fire. And crown fires can be very dangerous, they're very unpredictable, and they can move very fast. And those are some of the most extremely destructive fires that we see in Oklahoma. And so we want to do whatever we can to keep the fire from actually making its way up into the tree. So in this case, we're going to remove some of the rungs of the ladder. And so we're going to take these low-level fuels and remove them away from the tree, and we're basically going to limb the tree up about as high as I can reach. Now once we do that, that will give the tree a lot more protection from any ground fires that might come through and hopefully prevent it from becoming part of a crown fire. And so I'm going to start by just simply removing some limbs. Especially when you have pines and other trees growing out in an open field. They'll tend to have lower limbs on them that in a lot of cases touch the ground. And that's the case in this situation. This limb was low enough that it was basically just catching all of the pine needles that fell from the limbs above it on the tree. And they were accumulating. You can see how that looks like probably 2 or 3 years worth of accumulation of dry pine needles. So basically there's almost nothing that will burn beneath the tree now. The limbs are gone. We've removed the rungs of the fuel ladder. So this tree is much safer now than it was before. But why do we care about this tree? Well, if you look back there, you see my house. And believe it or not, if this tree catches fire and is fully involved in the fire as part of a crown fire, it can cast little fire embers. They're basically things like these little limbs burning. And they break into little small pieces, and the strong winds will actually carry something like this as it burns and deposit it on your house. And that's how many homes actually catch fire, is not from the flame front, the actual flame of the wildfire, but tiny little pieces like this that the wind catches and blows while they burn, or even after they're embers, and then they land on your home. And so if there's anything flammable around your home, then they set that on fire. So for instance, that pile of leaves that we removed, those leaves were still there. Something as small as this burning lands on them, sets them on fire, and that sets your home on fire. So that's why doing something as simple as this for just a run-of-the-mill pine tree is important to you. The reason that it's so important to clean your gutters out is because if they get packed full of leaves, pine needles, things like that that can burn, when a fire comes through, a wildfire, it casts what are known as fire embers. And those can land in this gutter. And when they do, they sit there smoldering until they set the leaves on fire. Then the leaves set your shingles and your roof deck on fire, and then that will suddenly involve your entire roof. So it's always a good, safe practice to go ahead and clean out your gutters at the end of the year to get all the leaves out. That'll make them perform better as far as funneling water, but it'll also make your home safer in a wildfire. So welcome to the underside of my porch. Now we've been working our way from the obvious fire-wise issues to some that are a little more hidden. Now in this instance, the thing that we're looking for would be leaves that have blown under the porch. We want to try to remove those if there's a large accumulation of them so that the firebrands don't blow under here and set them on fire and then they set my porch deck on fire. The other thing that you need to do while you're under here is look at your vents. Especially this time of year, we're going into winter anyway, so we want to go ahead and close those. But if we were in a really bad fire season where we were having a lot of fires, we'd want to close those anyway just to keep the firebrands or the embers from blowing underneath the house and setting our framing on fire. So while I'm here, I'm just going to close that vent, and that'll keep any firebrands from blowing in there, or at least it'll minimize any that we might have. So first of all, I really want to thank the Keatings for allowing us to see their property and to get to enjoy a little bit of a hunt up there and just to ride around and see all the great things that they're doing with it. I think it's really nice to see how you can use a simple technique like a prescribed fire to really make a dramatic difference in a property. And I also want to encourage all of you, as you get a chance, to also think about things you can do to make your home fire-wise. Now we all have insurance on our homes, or most of us do, and insurance will replace things, but it can't replace the things that are really the dearest and most special to us. So it's worth the time to take the effort to take those few simple steps to try to protect your home from wildfires. Because you have to remember, in these large fire outbreaks that we have sometimes, there's just not enough fire trucks to be at everyone's home to protect it. So in some cases, your home may have to protect itself. And the only way it can do that is by you being proactive and taking these steps ahead of time. So that's it for this week. I hope that you've enjoyed the snow like I have, and I think we'll get out with the kids and slide around in it a little bit. And if you'd like any more information on this or other shows, go to landdoctors.com.
I need the Oklahoma wind to run open through my veins. I need the Indian grass to cut right through these long and lonesome days homeward bound. I'm homeward bound. I hear the scissor tail calling me from the redbud trees. I hear the topwater roar in the still of the day as the bass enjoy their feast homeward bound. I'm homeward bound. Whoa, I recognize that front porch light from a mile away. Whoa, this is a place that for all my life I have longed to stay, where I want to stay.
Okay, hello. It's a little friend we just found down in the pine needles. Cute little fella. So we're gonna set him to the side. We mean no harm. Whoop, he's going up a shirt. I don't see anything. It doesn't go very far.
Probably just a rattlesnake, Dan. Oh, baby, that's a good timber.
Are you filming? This is just about the last year I'm going to do this. Shortly you'll be doing this every year until you leave here. I just hope you're prepared for that. I won't be coming under here anymore. I'll say, son, it's time for you to shut the vents. Are you prepared for that responsibility? Good deal. Glad to hear it.
We'll see what happens. Hopefully one of us will be successful today. You want me to keep talking?
Yeah, he'd make you jump and squeal if you walked up on him. Like a schoolgirl. Fun, huh? It's all good.
No, this is clean living out here.
Yeah.
This is all good.
We could just stay here forever.
Yeah, my wife might not like it, but
No.
I'm with you, buddy.
Yeah.
This program is sponsored in part by the Oklahoma Energy Resources Board. The OERB is voluntarily funded by Oklahoma's oil and natural gas producers and royalty owners, and their funds are being used for well site restoration and student education all across the state. Since 1993, the OERB has restored more than 13,000 orphaned and abandoned well sites at no cost to landowners or taxpayers, employing Oklahoma contractors all along the way. The OERB is proud to serve the state of Oklahoma.
Daddy, where did those come from?
Well, let me tell you.
Great Plains Kubota, your Oklahoma Kubota dealer and proud sponsor of the Land Doctors. Kubota, for Earth, for life. This program is sponsored and produced by the Land Doctors Management Group. We all know that Oklahomans belong to the land, but even the best of us need a little help from time to time. If you've got a spot of land that you love but would like to make it even better, we're here to help. Whether it's wildlife, water management, natural resources management, environmental cleanup, or even real estate development, these doctors are always on call.
I love the smell of fresh dirt in the morning. It smells like victory.